Hello, and welcome to the Wellness Persuasion Podcast. I'm the host of it, John Borman. I would like to thank you for clicking play wherever you click it at. And I try to keep this podcast short and sweet. My goal is to keep it around 5 minutes or under. Well, again, I like to begin in the Word. And from there, we'll talk about why it's so important for us to memorize it and meditate on it. It comes from Matthew chapter 7. Matthew chapters 5 through 7 is a Sermon on the Mount. And in Matthew chapter 7, verses 26 and 27 is where Jesus is coming to the end of his Sermon on the Mount. So in verse 26, Jesus tells the multitude, "And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rains fell and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it." You know, Jesus talks about people that don't listen and obey his words are like a foolish man who builds his house upon the sand. Any smart contractor that builds buildings, such as commercial buildings and houses, will tell you that they need a good foundation and that it will be really dumb to build something upon sand because they know that it's not going to stand. It's going to fall. Did you know that in a public building that before they could even open it, that they had to go with a building inspector to be sure that it is safe for people to go in? Because if it's not safe for people to go in for public usage, then it can't be in use. So constructionists long ago find a good foundation to build the building off. Well, unfortunately, a lot of people in this world don't do that. Now, I'm not talking about construction workers. I'm talking about everyone in everyday lives. You know, they follow the easy way. They follow the broad way. They'll follow with whatever makes them comfortable. Yet they are like rats that can't see what they're putting into themselves is poison. You know, rat food's got 5 or 10% poison in it. It's still poison. Well, a lot of eists and isms and systems of this world is rat poison. Even though they may have 5-10% poison in it, it's still very, very poisonous. You know, right at the top of my head, I think about something like yoga. Yoga is something a born-again Christian should not do. And let me kind of explain. Yoga is basically stretching and moving the body unto a deity or trying to make yourself into a god. That's the problem with yoga. Now, when it comes to stretching and moving, you know, that's nothing wrong with that. You know, a person should be able to practice to stretch and move because our body is a temple of God. We still have a spirit in this. So, like a car, we need to take care of our temples. Yet, when we stretch and move, we shouldn't meditate on spiritual darkness such as Hinduism. You know, while you stretch and move, that's a great time to meditate on the word instead. And the Bible is very clear, like whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. So let us present our bodies and glorify God with it. You know, how do I glorify God with my body? How do I meditate on it? Well, you're open to that means you're open to building a good foundation. And look at what Jesus said about those that do his words. Going back to verse 24. "Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on it." So the storm is trials and tribulations of the world. They're going to come and they're going to go. Well, with the word of God, it will stand like a house that was built upon the rock.